Listen to The Cat's Den with Johnny Cat at utahmusicradio.com. Okay, here we go. Johnny C. Utah Music Radio.
You're listening to Radio.
So, I'm just gonna... We worked together. You know what the old studio was like and how far I've come and to where I'm at now, but what the old studio used to be, which is like the old, it was like an apartment, pretty much. It's like the getaway where everybody could drink, smoke, pass out, do whatever, and still do podcasts and all that, right? We had
all you had a lot of equipment in there.
Yeah, I had that big 40-channel mixer and all that in the band, musical stuff. So this is the first one back after 7 years. This is my first podcast after 7 years of getting back into this whole thing, and you guys happen to be it. So I'm honored to have you guys as my first after 7 years. I tried to do a couple of Monday ones, Monday mornings. I'm sitting in here alone at like 7 a.m. to kind of do, just record some shows, get some new music out there and everything. And I find myself rambling, not focused, and then I start going into politics and all of that crap alone, sitting here bitching about stupid shit. And I'm like, okay, I got to get a co-host. I got to get somebody to keep me reeled in. So this is really nice to be back and for you guys to be the first ones here on Utah Music Radio's new podcast. And so this is the new Cat's Den. I'm not just strictly sticking with music. I'm now interviewing you guys, filmmakers, ex-NFL, plus all the things that you're doing. I mean, you've got a lot of things going on too, so...
I shelved them. I barely do anything now.
I know.
Which is code for I parent, and I got 2 kids, and we basically just coordinate daily logistics, make sure that our goals are being met there, and trying to apply stick with it is the lessons I learned to being a good parent, sticking with a purpose and not getting it to be about me,
Dude,
being a good teammate.
Absolutely. One of the things that I remembered when I had Bonfire Honey, went to your mom's house. We spent the afternoon there, and you've got an amazing mother, by the way. She is an amazing mom, and so open, and the hospitality was insane, and all of her ideas and all the food. I thought that was incredible. The one moment I remember over at his mother's house is your son. I can't remember. He did something, spilled something, dropped something, fell, something like that. But the thing is, and this goes back to before Jason left, talking about the Italian family and everything like that. I can't remember what your son did. Spilled something maybe, but y'all laughed. You're like, oh, that's all good. Hey, it happens, these kind of things. And if that would have been in my family, it would have been like, what the fuck are you doing? Pick that up now. And it would have been like a completely different dynamic. And that's one of the things I want to talk about your childhood growing up, is that you guys laugh at these mistakes and learn from them on a positive way. Whereas my family, it's like you drop something, it's a motherfuck kind of thing, And so it's a completely different dynamic. It makes me wonder about how your childhood was growing up and what led you into the NFL, and the same with you, how your childhood was like. If you spilled something, did your mom freak out, or was she like, it's all good, we'll get that and we'll clean it up and we'll move on and it's no big deal, So that's kind of like, it makes me wonder if there's a commonality in the way people are raised that make it to that level of athletics. Yeah. Because the NFL is no fucking around. Let's be real.
Wow, John trying to bring back some past traumas. I see you.
I'm telling you. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what this whole thing's about, is about what got you guys to where you're at, how you got to that level, and then what you have done since, And we can do this in a bunch of different ways too. And this is your idea, by the way, so I blame you for all this, but
I'll take it.
Yeah. It's his idea that got this going on. But we can do this in a couple of different ways. We can do this in series. So we start with childhood, where you guys grow up, and then we call it there. And then we do another episode of what you guys were like in junior high, and then go from there, and then high school, and then into college, and then into the NFL. We could do all these segments, or we could just throw it all into a big pot tonight and just have a 2-hour episode of all our traumas. My childhood sucked. No, I'm just kidding. I had a good childhood, but so we can go that route. So whatever you guys feel like.
I like the Hungry Man pot. Is that what it's called? The Hungry Man little pot?
Oh, or it's all mixed together and all in one?
Let's
all right.
go. Let's
do
go.
that? All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, so if you were the 4-year-old in the room and you spilled something, how'd that go for you?
Honestly, I think my dad, he'd be like, oh, it's okay, James, I got you, or whatever. But I kind of think my mom, because, she was a single mom. So when she get off work, she went to night school when she got off. So she was more irritated quicker because it felt like it was only her. So I remember her kind of being a little mean. My mom's sweet as heck right now, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm her baby, her only son. But back then, oh yeah, she used to be agitated. But I get it now. You know what I'm saying? She was doing everything on her own, and so as soon as I did something, she the one that gave me spankings. And,
damn it.
Yeah, my mom, she used to be on me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, hey, puts us in our place. I used to get that. All right, how about you?
Yeah, that was my dad. He'd give me the spankings, but there was defined things what we were and weren't going to get in trouble for. And so my dad was really, really consistent. So the rules were always the rules. There was no slipping past, sneaking. You ended up.
There was no midnight sneak out of your bedroom dad. And all that.
Yeah, he was always there. He was always at all my games, We were basically taught how to fix the problem. Oh, you spilled something? Clean it up. There's napkins, do it. And you had to do it yourself. You had to fix it. And then...
And that's what you do with your kids now, right?
It wasn't I don't know. My kid broke my uncle's favorite little African treasure. He had some ancient ostrich egg.
Oh, dang.
Same kid knocked it right on the floor, shattered it, and he was like, no. And this prehistoric, horrible smell came out of it.
Oh, man.
And it was still kind of the same thing. The kid's frozen with fear. So do you need to... Because it's a lot. That will ruin their whole perception of a lot. So what is it? Is it a mistake? We keep it kind of headed towards what is this really about? Are you really a bad person is in trouble? Because you'll internalize that and feel like a bad person.
Right. Does
that happen to you? Did you feel like
for me
you were causing all the problems? And
oh yeah, I always felt like I was causing all the problems. But I'm an only child, so it didn't matter. I couldn't blame it on anybody else.
Yeah,
it was like he did it. Point to myself, it's so if I did something, but my mom was, I feel like my dad was, so my earliest memory of getting my ass whooped was, so I was, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, and I was doing something in the front room. God knows what I was doing, but my mom's like, will you stop doing that? And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And now I have a different perspective though, because my dad's disabled. So when I was younger, he could still walk. He had braces on and all that, but he needed, crutches and things like that. So this is before he became just completely immobilized. And so when I was younger, he could walk. And so I remember I did something. My dad was studying for finals. He was getting his master's at the U, so he was under a lot of pressure. And so I was just being a shit. So I still did it. And my mom's like, I'm going to get your dad. And I'm like, okay, well, what's he going to do? And so he's studying. Well, so he yells in. He's like, John, if you don't knock it off, I'm gonna spank you. And I was just like, okay, and whatever. So I still did it. Man, all of a sudden I hear from the study in the other room, the chair go flying back, and he comes around the corner coming at me and I'm just going to use the terminology to give you an idea, like Frankenstein, because he had braces on, so he couldn't just walk normal, but he had braces on, so he's almost straight leg and starts running at me, and I'm just standing there. I was like, oh shit. So I start running because now I'm a little punk and I'm running from my dad. And so we do a full circle. Our house kind of had a little centerpiece where you just go into all the different rooms. So it was like the front room, into the dining room, into the hallway, into his study, and then back into the front room again. So there's all these dividers. But so I was running in circles. And after the second time around, he's like, and he made the best line. And he said, you can keep running, but I know where you live. So I was like, so it was after the second time around the thing, and I was running backwards, and I was looking, and the most vivid memory I'll never forget is I'm running backwards, looking at him just coming at me, and I realized, okay, I can outrun my dad. At 5, 6 years old, I realized I could outrun my dad. And I was like, it's only going to get worse if I don't stop. And literally, I just stopped in my tracks, and he grabbed me by my shirt and lifted me up off the ground and carried me to the couch and spanked my butt. And that was it. That was it for me. I was like, okay, yeah, all right, I won't do this again. And so that was my one real serious learning experience as a kid. It's like, okay, yeah. And I think a lot of kids need that. I think there needs to be at least one moment in their life where they get a spank just to realize this is the line in the sand. Don't cross it, or else this is where I'm going to get you. And so
I agree with that.
There's got to be at least one moment where the kid has to just know that's the moment. That's the defining moment of where the parent draws the line. I don't condone spanking kids. I've never actually laid a finger on either one of my kids. Oh no, that's not true. My oldest son, he got he got laid out pretty good. He was a handful. I love him to death. He and I finally, my son and I actually, for 10 years, didn't talk to one another. And it wasn't until my dad had a real bad incident that I was like, you know what, this shit needs to stop. And so he and I, actually, we built my motorcycle. I don't know, you haven't seen my motorcycle yet, but he and I spent last winter, in the coldest winter in 100 years, we were out in this tent working on my motorcycle, and we created a bond and rebuilt that.
So that's what brought y'all together, huh?
It was the motorcycle, yeah. So we rebuilt a motorcycle together, and so that brought us back together again. But yeah, for a long time, he and I had a pretty estranged, well, I was 18. So kid having a kid and an only child, not really grasping the whole thing. So now we're both adults and kind of figured it out. So but my other kids now, I've never laid a finger on them just because I just yell at them. I take over the mom's side and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're like, oh, good. They think I'm intimidating. Do I look intimidating compared to you guys? There's no chance in hell I'm intimidating, for fuck's sake. I don't get it. They're like, you're so intimidating. And I'm like,
approach is everything. You have to speak the right way to be effective.
I guess so. I guess I got that from my mom's.
Understand the impact of your demeanor.
Yeah.
My dad used to, his ankle pop cracked when he walked down the hall, and I would pucker up, clean up, straighten up, get ready for business.
You could hear it.
Yeah. And it took me a long time to understand him. And once I've had my own boys, he makes more sense every day. And I appreciate the lessons and just how much he was there every day.
Yeah.
And that fear thing is real. I'm bigger than my dad, and there was that tipping point, like you said, where I knew I could outrun, fight my dad.
Yeah.
And that was like, around the time when him and my mom weren't getting along anymore. So I became this little de facto bodyguard, making sure that there's peace in the home, which, we grew up nice little Mormons, man. That was like the goal. I was supposed to go to BYU, and play ball. Like that was going to be the coolest thing. I sent them my film. And they sent it back with no notes, no nothing. Just a package from BYU. And I was like, shoot, I guess I'm not going there. They don't want me. And, the lessons that came out of that youth, I think, though, was just you have to answer to your own honor code. You got to be accountable. The things that you want in a teammate, they all made sense.
Yeah.
Do your job type of stuff that all makes sense. Show up on time. Are you trying your hardest or not? You got another rep or not? You can be 10% worse or 10% better. All the platitudes, they just slam on you every day, all the slogans. And like, was that structure though? That all was good for me. Like, how about you, man? Like, honestly,
your dad, he was teaching you discipline. Because undisciplined kids usually turn out to be what? Undisciplined adults. And so I spanked my kids when they were younger. Like, I shouldn't have to spank my kids now. Like, my 12-year-old wouldn't spank them now.
All right, listen here.
Yeah, but at a certain point, like, I had to teach them discipline, and no means no. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to teach them discipline just so they could be better adults and better people. And, so now that you have your kids, you understand exactly what your dad was doing, and everything does make sense. Like, I understand so much now, what my dad was going through, what my mom was going through, and why it seemed like she was angry, but she was just so frustrated. Like, I get that now. Like, you get stuff when you get older, but discipline, man, is so important. But you have to start young. You got to start while you're young, and you know what I'm saying. So
Yep. So with that, how old were you when the two of you started playing football?
Go ahead.
I started playing when I was 11, I think. My first year of playing football was 11.
Was that on a team or?
Oh, yeah, Pop Warner.
Did you what was it about football? So you were 11, but at what age were you sitting there? Were you like with your family and you were watching it on TV and you're like, shit, I want to be part of that? Or where were you at when you said, that's what I want to do?
I was 10 years old and I went to a buddy of mine house down the street. And I was at his house playing. It was after school. And his mom was like, come on. I forgot his name. Was like, come on, Jimmy. We going to practice. He was like, oh, I got to go. I'm going to football practice. And his mom asked if I wanted to go. And I went to football practice and I watched. And I was like, wow, this is what I was supposed to be doing. So I told my mom to sign me up. And we went to go get signed up. And I was like 3 days late. And I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby, and I had to wait that following year until when I turned 11. And that was my first year, and I fell in love with it. I used to sleep with a football, watch VHS tapes of like old games my mom used to give me, and I fell in love with like Dan Marino, and man, that was it for me. Like I knew that was my ticket out at 11 years old. So
Where were you?
Inglewood, California.
Nice. All right, how about you? What was your first moment?
I was always a football fan and playing on the playground, and then I was reluctant to play with pads a little bit, and my parents did not want me to get hit. And then third grade, I was like 91 pounds. I remember being 91 pounds, and my buddy BJ, same thing, I'm down at my friend's house down the street. He's like, it's time to sign up. It's football season. I'm signing up. He's looking at me. He's like, you're going to be an X-Man. We're going to be X-Men. And I'm like, the hell I am, dude. I'm Jerry Rice, bro. I'm wide receiver. I catch touchdowns. What are you talking about? You be an X-Man and block while I go score and win. And there was like, I slept with the football, man. I know the ones I wanted. They sell them at the BYU games, you know, the little BYU football. My parents were both BYU graduates. And we had season tickets. We go down there and watch them. It was the game day atmosphere I was in. And so I was 9 years old, third grader, and my parents were like, hold your horses. You're not playing until your growth plates are closed. That's what Lavelle Edwards recommended on a post-game interview show when one of the parents called in and said, when should my kid start playing? He wants to play. He's just a little guy. And he said, if they start getting hit before their growth plates are closed, they won't grow as tall as they could be. And that's a waste of a good athlete. We need tall athletes. So that's my recommendation. They can learn the game and hit later. And my parents are like, cool. We'll see how tall you grow.
Never heard that one.
Right?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So I was, sorry, BJ, I can't be an X-Man with you this year. I have to wait till I'm taller and older. And it was kind of a cop-out, right? Like, because I didn't want to get hit. I wasn't like you where I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a strong safety and smash people. Like, I didn't find my passion. I was like, okay, well, maybe I can skirt the damage. I'd play a lot of basketball. And then it came around ninth grade when I'd gotten cut from the basketball team in eighth grade. I felt like leaving school. I've made it in ninth grade and rode the pine, but it saved a little bit of my little ego. And now I was 6'4", and my friends are like, you got to play football. We only have 11 players. So I signed up like 3 games into the season, ninth grade. And they stick me out there at D-end, and I got road graded. We lost like 50-0. They ran sweeps around me. I got put on my ass constantly.
Oh, man.
Because those kids knew what they were doing. Did you know in ninth grade how to hit, how to tackle?
Yeah.
How to get low and launch yourself?
When I got to ninth, yeah, I was a tackler, bro. Like I lived off killing people's knees. So.
Yeah, bro. I didn't know what to do. I had no technique. I was a little afraid to hit, and I was 6'4", maybe 165 pounds. Just a stork out there getting smashed. And 2 of the guys that were double teaming me, yeah, I ended up playing with him in high school. And one of them still thinks I just suck. He's like, he just can't get it out of his head. The day he had pancaking me a few times. And then my dad, the second game I went back, I had a tailbone bruise pretty bad. That whole week, I was like walking pretty tenderly. And he was like, you don't have to keep playing. And I was like, no, I kind of want to, you know, like I can't go out like that, you know?
Yeah.
So he's like, I was proud of you for sticking with it.
That's awesome.
And then the next year in high school, my hand got forced because the basketball coach had a rule that he only kept football players on his basketball team. He wanted tough football players on his basketball team. You played football, and in the spring, you either did baseball, track, or track. That was how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
You're in all 3, or you're not a part of this. So I was like, shoot, I have to play football. And as a sophomore, that's when it started to click a little bit better.
Nice.
So then by my junior year, I was playing. But it took me 5 years probably to be playing quality football.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes it takes a while.
One of the things that always gets me, and maybe you guys can help me out with this, you see my coffee maker, so I'm a nerd, and I look at physics. And one of the things that I always, Coach McBride at the U, way back in the day, I don't know what he was always teaching his guys, but they would leap into the air to tackle. They just sail through the air. And half the time, I'd even say, even 3/4 of the time, they'd miss the runner, because once you leave the ground, there's nowhere to stop, and you just keep missing him.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Who was it that took over his position? That ended up Notre Dame guy came in. God, I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Anyway, he changed the Utes, and then Whittingham took over after him.
Urban Meyer?
Urban, thank you, yes. He changed the whole dynamic of playing football. In fact, he actually held the football players accountable for everything they did, including their parking tickets. And McBride used to cover them all. Little known secret, but yeah, he would cover the parking tickets, and the football players would just park wherever the hell they wanted. They'd park on the sidewalks, and they'd get tickets, park in the disabled stalls, and get tickets and all that. And he'd come in and just kind of like slide it under to the director of parking services. And I was an appeals judge, so when Urban Meyer came in, he said, "No, if you don't get everything that you owe taken care of, you're off the team." And man, there was a guy came in and he had something like almost $5,000 worth of tickets, and he just kept parking in disabled stalls and just let him sit there. And so finally he came in and he had to go through me, and I got a disabled dad, so I'm just sitting there looking at him like, well, let's have a talk, you know. And I think I whittled it down to still, it was like $4,700 in tickets, and I think I whittled it down to $2,300 or something like that. He had to come up with that. And, yeah, I got to meet Urban Meyer. I got to meet Coach McBride. I got to meet all the cool guys that came in. But, yeah.
Accountability,
exactly.
Yep.
And so with these tackles, how is it, and I even see it in the NFL, they'll go leaping and still, what the hell is the deal with that? What do they teach you guys to block, and they're trying to get them? Are they just tripping at the last second, or are they just trying to fly into it, like take them out at the knees kind of thing? What's the methodology in a tackle? Tell me what the method is behind a tackle, because I love football, and yet I don't know all the positions. I don't understand half the positions. They'll throw all that shit out on TV, and I'm like, and I'm trying to get Alicia into it, and she's watching it, and she's like, oh, what's that position? I'm like, fuck if I know. So I'm trying to gather up all of that, because I know a lot of it, but I don't know all of it. And then I was watching something on, I think it was Netflix, and they had like Mahomes and all these other guys, all these other quarterbacks and shit. They had to learn about the different plays and all the call plays and everything like that. And you guys had to learn all that too. What's it take? Like, how do you get to the tackle end of it and learning the plays? And
you definitely take this question, because as a tight end, I'm actually anti-tackling. I feel like tackling should be abolished. You should just stop it altogether.
Yeah, I used to hit guys like this guy right here. So
yeah, I'm not into it, man. Leave us alone. See you on the next drive. We'll score again and again.
See you in 30
That's
seconds.
That's how I feel about it. I know I'm on one side of the spectrum.
Nah, but you're never supposed to leave your feet unless you know you can make that tackle. So me, like I'm diving in to take your knees out, but I'm not going to dive in unless I know I'm hitting your knees. I was like a short tackler. The only tackle that I missed was Boise State game in a blizzard when we had out here. And I remember Coach was like, JD, how you missed that tackle in film room? And I'm like, man, Coach, it was too cold for me. Like, I'm from Cali. But no, you got to have a good base when you tackle. So I doubt any coaches would teach you to leave your feet. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're just trying to get an incredible hit and, look good on TV or something like that. But
literally what it looked like half the time.
Yeah. No, when it comes to tackling, man, I make sure, I got my guy. And so you need a good base. I'll pay attention to the hips, let them do all their little shake moves. Got you. You know what I'm saying? So I was a for sure tackler. So if I was to leave my feet, it's because I'm right there, by your knees, or I got you. Yeah. And I know I got you in my sight. So
right on. And you were on the other side of that. So what was your biggest fear once you got the ball in your hands? Where were you afraid to get hit the most?
pretty much your kidneys, you know, so anywhere from behind an indefensible angle, the side of your head, the back of your head, you know, back then we weren't really protected, and it's a big target, so they have to hit me before I'm facing them, putting my force towards you.
Absolutely.
Because we can all generate X amount of force, and we're putting it in a variety of variable directions at variable angles. And if you leave your feet, now you've introduced gravity against you, and you're going to have to land and redirect new force where you have to get to where you're springing on the person. Like, it's all a timing situation. Mm-hmm. So guys like him would watch film, and they know if I come up and lean 2 steps to the left, I'm going to snap across, and they're safe to go ahead and accelerate to the break point and get there in time to either catch the ball first or blast me and see if I can drop it. It's just a matter of courage at some point, because the other guy will...
courage at some point.
Yeah,
pretty much any time you get the ball.
Tackling is a matter of courage and trust that the impact is going to be in your favor. Because if you had a guy like me and I outweighed you by 60 pounds, but you're bringing X amount of physics and I'm bringing X minus 2, or I slow down, but you're coming so fast, I seize up and slow down. It's a game of courage, chicken. Mm-hmm. And at the point of impact, we got trained how to plant your foot and strike through someone with the same side of your body. We hit with the shoulder, you have that foot you're launching off of. And it's a game of physics. So you know those physics are going to sting. And in the cold, your whole body stings, your face stings, your arms, you can't feel them. Tackling, I mean, it's gnarly. I actually hated it.
Yeah, I got many stingers in my lifetime. That's for sure.
And it's got to be different for the person that's tackling versus the one that's being tackled. There's clearly you're preparing to take somebody down, and you're preparing to be hit. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be, like, in your head, you're like, I'm ready for this hit. You're still saying, okay, I'm ready for this hit, but it's different because you're running. You've got the ball, and they're like, okay, these guys want to take this thing away from me and do everything they can to take it away from me. So your body's prepping probably in a different way than his is. Is that kind of how it is, or is a hit? Like, how does that work? And because, again, you're getting hit, he's ready to hit. Like, what's the dynamics going on in your heads?
It's a psychological game for me. So let's say he got the ball. He's a big dude, 4 or 5, 250, 6'4", 250, right? I'm almost 5'11". When I play 185, you know. So for me, psychologically, I'm gonna go fast as I can. I was always the fastest, so I would run fast as I can, dive at his knees, hit his knees, because next time he gonna remember. Don't come to my side, because I will blow your damn knees out. So that's the game I'm playing on my side. You know, being a safety or corner. You know, so that's the game I play.
Yeah. Okay. So a guy with that attitude and that same approach to football, picture a tight end, and I'm offset in a double tight end formation. We got 2 tight ends on this side, and we're running a sweep. We're running the center, guard, tackle, tight end. All the guys that 3 of them, it's a fair fight. The rest of them, we outweigh you, and we're running at you. And here comes 2 more. And a guy with your dimensions playing corner is like, okay, cool, I'll take the first one. Sent it like a missile towards my knees. I go into survival mode. I just jump, and he whacked me, and I'm on the ground with a bonked shoulder the next thing I know. And the play now has an obstacle that the running back has to deal with that's confining the defensive scheme. I had respect for the technique, very dangerous for me, but it made me aware that, this guy's not playing around with my health.
It's all a mind.
He's coming for my health. He had no regard. He had no regard for how I'm going to end up. That was it. That was how the game was played. It was very vicious.
So yeah, I would feel bad. Like, I would never really try to hurt anyone, but I would let them know that, hey, I'm here. Like, I may look little, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not. You know what I mean? So that was always the mind game that I played. Like, okay, you see me, I'm 180, 185, but I'm a fucking beast. So I will always let that be known. Yeah. But I have to let it be known on the field. But if I did hurt anyone, I'll feel bad. Like, I don't want to hurt, like really hurt, my opponent.
So how does that, and again, the intent is to stop him and to
make him quit the game.
Mentally.
Yeah.
I had a whole process for that.
Really?
Yeah, it's for real.
Yeah. So, all right, what'd you do? What was your process?
Well, I stayed silent, and I only talked to my teammates. And the other team will often try to talk or say stuff. You know, it was just... And
They play a psychological game.
Yeah.
Get in your head.
And to me, it was a waste of... Like, I wasn't there to have a talkathon. I'm there to win a football. And also, I had this thing in my head that if we're gonna make it to the league and play NFL football, it was always told me we had to beat out 1 million people. Like, you're 1 in a million if you make it or something, right? Didn't you hear that? Mm-hmm. So I felt like I had to make 999,999 people quit the game.
I mean, that would have to be, right?
Yeah, so it was like, you gotta... And then I couldn't really lose a rep, you know? And if I lost a rep, I had to figure out how to overcome that level and beat that guy.
So when you get hit like that, what's the best way to put this? How do you get up?
How do you fake it? Yeah, okay. So I got hit one time in NFL Europe so hard. I did a backflip in the back of the end zone. I was doing a drag route, and the guy just lined me up. I don't know what he's mad at me about, probably several things. And it's
a talkathon.
And the next thing I knew, I just saw the whole stadium lights and things spin while my backflip happened, and I couldn't breathe for 45 seconds of just, you know, and
you get
my chest
wind knocked
wouldn't open up the vacuum. And so I just sat there trying not to black out, and I just knew that guy was marked man now. I was going to try and get my payback if and when. And my goal now, I just need to get my ass to the sideline because I didn't want to be carried off the field under any circumstances. And sometimes it's just a matter of time. And that actually trained me. I had a car crash later where I saw it. It was almost like kickoff return team again. A guy like you coming down, and you just, like you said, you brace up and deliver your technique. And I got taught in the pros, it was like, one of the coaches said, the first guy to execute their technique wins. And so you want to step in and get your hand on, you know, whatever you were going to do before he threw a fake and countered. Right. If you get your move off first, like, you often win the play.
Nice.
So honestly, man, by the time I got to the pros, I just had kind of eschewed all my fear for proper technique and preparation, being fit, and then go catch the ball and, like, make them quit. Okay, and here's my thing. Tell me what you think about this. The guys will come out talking smack. Then they go quiet. And then you keep hammering them, and then they start yelling at their teammates. And then the fourth thing is, while the game's still going, they'll try to be your friend.
Okay.
And if someone who started out telling you're some level of piece of shit and is throwing blows, playing full speed furious, showing his full thing, ends up later being like, oh, you guys are good, man. Yeah, good luck this season. Like, he's quit. He's one of my 999,000 now.
Oh, right on. Okay.
So that was my thing. I just got to watch, observe. I got to go. Don't show your weaknesses, even though you're getting rocked, even though you're getting knocked out, you know?
Yeah.
I had plenty of concussions.
But listen, listen to what Ryan's saying. Preparation. So football is preparing you for life. I see that now. Like, football prepared me for life, not to quit. Or if you are hurt, like, you better figure that shit out. You a man, you better figure it out, because that's what we got to do in this real world now. Man, yeah. Football is definitely, it prepared me for a lot of, you know, stuff that's going on in this world. And he hit the nail on the head with that, like, about, you know, somebody coming at him as a missile, and, you know, getting in that car crash. Everything goes back to football, because that's, you know, where we learned our toughness from, and learn how to overcome a lot of shit, or learn how to even talk to our kids, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I owe football a lot, honestly.
So what was it like for you? What was the hardest hit that you remember? Like, what's one of the most memorable moments you had when you played?
My best friend, we were in practice, and it's the first time I got like a stinger. Yeah, my boy Norch. Yeah, he was new to the team. He was big back then. We were like, 13. He was probably like 6'1", you know. He was a star offensive player, and I was the star defensive player. And we collided head to head, because back then, you know, it was a warrior sport back then, and I got a bad stinger in my back, and I remember crying in practice. But, you know, I didn't show nobody though. But yeah, I was like, damn, I ain't never felt that. So that was my first real stinger, and it was against my best friend.
Dang. You're like, good thing you're my friend.
Yeah.
How about you? What was the most memorable hit you took? The one that you got flipped up over? Or
man, that one was big, but it didn't knock me unconscious. So I had one in high school where we were in the state playoffs. It was the first round. I was a junior starting at tight end, And I think I caught like one ball that whole season, maybe two. We had a big wishbone style double wing offense, running. Misdirection, just running all the time. And this particular game, it was on my third catch of the first half, which I was on my way to like, it was my best statistical game. I was contributing. I was starting to learn the game. It's still really early, right? And I was probably 6'4", 185. And as a scramble, I'm running towards the sideline, and the quarterback's looking at me. This guy's right on me. And I spun around to the inside. He threw a fastball, hit me. I turned around, and I just remember seeing number 80. And then next thing I remember seeing is like a halo of people looking at me like around. And then I'm on the sideline, and I'm like, oh, man, I think I'm feeling a little bit better. And then the ground goes, smashed me in the face.
Down again.
Total vertigo.
Oh, man.
I had no idea what that grass was doing coming at me like that. Boom! But what the hell? It was like Inception.
Why is the grass a wall?
Man. Oh, bro, I was out of it. Yeah.
Man, how long did it take for you to recover from that?
You know, we won the game, and I didn't play the rest of the playoffs. We went to the state championship game. I still didn't play.
Oh, wow. Concussion.
And I started practicing a little bit, but yeah, I went to the hospital that day. I didn't finish the game. My dad was like, yo.
You want to keep playing?
All my fears have come true.
Oh, man.
He hated that I played football.
Really?
So, yeah, at some point, he really had to like just accept that I wanted to get better at it. Just to let me take my damn lumps. Like, he was sick of watching his son get beat up. sick of watching me get tackled by guys that are fast.
So I was watching, let's see, was it last year that, I forgot his name, but when he got hit in the chest and died on the field, his heart stopped and he dropped down.
Hamill?
I think Hamlin, yeah. I feel like was like the most epic year it was a beatdown. Everybody was literally just pummel fucking one another right and left. Like it was just, everybody was getting hit harder and harder and harder. And I was like, man, there is going to be something that is going to go down. And that guy, and you knew his heart stopped when he first hit the ground, but then the training and his whole life was like, nope, you got to get up. And he got up, and then he just dropped. And it's like I had the most respect for him at that point, because all of a sudden I'm like, that guy, even when his heart was stopped, got up, like, nope, got to shake it off, and he just went down. And I, like you're saying, it's like you don't want to hurt him, but you want him to quit. You're like, you want him to quit. And when you see stuff like that, like, what goes through your minds at that moment when that's an extreme case, somebody just dropping dead, but when you see somebody that's like, they're not moving, they're out for a good few minutes and everybody's surrounding them, and like, what goes through your head at that moment when you see somebody on the ground like that? What's the first thought that goes through your head? I
get a little sick about it. I want all your best players in mint condition. Let's see who wins. So it's still just end of the game. You want them in their peak. I don't want anyone getting hurt. Like you're saying, you don't want to try to hurt anybody. I just want you to just fatigue out and know you can't win and get demoralized. That's my version of quit. I don't want you to. So at the end of the day, football is just about endurance. It's
no, football is about. You're trying to make it somewhere.
Yeah,
so
you want to
high
take
school,
it.
you want to go to college. If you're in college, you want to make it to the NFL. So it's about competing. My whole life, I was basically competing against everyone around me. That's the mindset that I have. So it's all about competing. So I don't want to physically hurt, but I want to mentally hurt you. But yeah, so seeing anyone get hurt on the football field, because they're all trying to, even Hamlin, you know why he got up? Because if he don't get up, his rep is going to get taken, and the person that come in might take his job, and he won't have a contract next year. So that's what it is.
And that's the other thing, is that it's pretty cutthroat. I don't think a lot of people know that. If you get injured, what is the longevity of normal NFL football player?
Not for long, baby.
Because obviously a lot of quarterbacks there. Brady was what, 20 years or some shit.
Well,
He's just whatever, you know.
He's the GOAT, so yeah, he doesn't count. But no, man, it's cutthroat. Every rep, every practice, it means something because you could get cut. NFL money not guaranteed, you know. So when I signed my contract, I was telling Ryan, man, I was pissed. You know, my agent called me. I was like, man, my heart was pounding because I was so mad because NFL money not guaranteed. So everybody fighting for something. So seeing somebody hurt, it hurts because I know all he thinking about his family. You know, because me growing up,
how's he going to pay his bills after this?
Me growing up, I swear. I wanted to take my mom, you know, out the hood, and you know what I mean. That's all I was thinking about, you know, as a little kid. So yeah, it sucks. And you know, people getting hurt even in high school or college because we're all competing against each other. We all trying to make, but we're trying to make it, you know, to do something better for ourselves and our families.
Well, I was going to say a point that I thought of when you were talking about how cutthroat it is in the competition and why he would hop on up and just be ready for that in his training. I came off the practice squad my rookie year in Jacksonville. Our head coach was Tom Coughlin, pre-New York Giants Super Bowls. He was everything that he was ever cracked up to be. He was Darth Vader in that facility. And he came walking by me after I'd been already activated off the practice squad. I was second string tight end. There were maybe 2 or 3 good games under my belt with good graded film. And he walks by me. I was feeling good about my journey, how much it was starting to click in. And he walks by me on the way to practice, and he comes up behind me and he says, I got tape of 7 guys on my desk that want your job. You better show me something today. And walks off.
That's real. That's how it is.
So if your boss isn't saying that to you, maybe you're not on as quite the hot seat that NFL players are.
Dang.
That pissed me off.
For sure.
I took scalps that day. I tore fucking shit up. And I was thinking to myself, those 7 guys fucking suck. If they were worth a shit, they'd be on a roster already. If they had anything I don't, they'd be here right now. I've already killed off the last 3 guys of my million. You're not going to get me now. I'm on the mountain.
Dude, that's
I was so hot in that practice, bro. You didn't want to be anywhere near me.
That's the attitude that you have to have. You got to compete for your damn life, basically, every day.
That's one of the reasons why I love the game, but damn, it just feels like it could just, you know, and again, it just seems like it could jack you in the head too, like that. You know, it's like
somebody's getting it.
Yeah, and I mean,
win or lose every rep. What are you, stalemate? That's a loss. Somebody's there. That's how it is, man.
And it's like Manning, the coach Manning for Denver, when they went on that 5-6 game losing streak, and he finally, you know, and he came in mid of last season, and then came in, and they're still playing like ass. And Denver's my team, by the way, so I gotta, you know, Denver, and I don't know, I just love football, but Denver, because I got family there, so I followed him since I was a kid. But when he came in and he's like, if you guys don't win this next game, everybody on this team's out. Like, he was just ready to wash everybody off that team. He's like, if you don't win today, you literally are not going to ever play again. And then they went on like a 4-game winning streak. They didn't lose a game. So they probably, just like you were saying, they went into that headspace. And that's a hell of a headspace too, by the way. You know, it's like for me when I was cycling, I told you guys a story where I just gouged my leg wide open. And I didn't quit, and I rode 50 miles. And then when my spotters came in, and I'm like, where the hell's the finish line? They're like, it's a mile up. Do you want to ride? I'm looking at them like, fuck no, I don't want to ride. I rode 50 miles bleeding out my leg. I'm like, no, I'm going to just finish it to the end here. And I was so mad, and I was more pissed about the crash than the pain. And that was the thing that so many athletes, you know, so many professional athletes have that mentality. It's like, I'm not stopping until I hit the finish line. I don't care. I'm going until the final quarter, until the whistle blows. You know, it's like that kind of mentality. And it takes a hell of a person to have that mentality. And then to have your coach come in and whisper that in your ear just before, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good now. He's like, yeah, there's 7 other guys waiting for your position. You're like, motherfucker. fucker, you know, it's like you just get to that point. How was it like that for you? Did you have anybody whisper in your ear, or was that just all in your head where you're like, no, I'm just going to keep beating people down and no one's going to take my place? How did you roll with that?
I think I always had a unique mindset growing up because I never seen anyone, you know, like get a scholarship and play football, or anyone in my family like really go to college like that. I just knew I wanted more. So in order to get more, I had to be unique and different. I had to train, and I worked on my arms at like 12 and sit-ups, and, you know, I was doing stuff that when kids were, you know, digging holes, I was like, even though the football season was over for me, I was still getting ready for the next season. That's the kind of mindset I had because I knew I wanted to make it. You know what I mean? So I just was always in that headspace I got to be different. And I don't know where that came from because, I didn't really have anyone in my ear to push me like that.
I honestly think that it's just inherited somehow, somewhere.
Competitive.
Yeah, there's something in these athletes that, I mean, it seems like the three of us definitely, whatever it is, it's inside our head that there's just, you don't quit. There's nothing that makes you quit until you're literally either beaten down, your body gives up, or your brains explode. Because other than that, there's just something in our heads that just, I've tried to explain this to my family. I'm like, you know, just do it. You can do a little bit more. You can do a little bit more. Just do a little bit more. And they're just like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, you can still do a little bit more. If you can say you're exhausted, you can do a little bit more.
See,
it's when
it
you
has to be in them, though.
And that's just it. Yeah. And that's
it is.
And they're like, Dad, I'm not an athlete like you were. And I'm just like, no, you can still do a little bit more. I still try to get them to just push themselves a little bit more. In fact, my son right now, he's just starting to do push-ups. And he's like, hey, I did 2. And I'm like, awesome. Let's see it. Let's see what you got. And so he did 2. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, and I start cheering him on. I'm like, let's do it. One more. You got one more in you. One more. He's like, so then he does one more. And I'm like, look, man, you just did 3. Do one more. You can do it. And so then he does 4. And before he knew it, he did 10.
How old is he?
Well, he's 16 now, so he's just barely getting into the athletic side of things. He's just now getting into body, you know, it's these Gen Zs that they're sitting there playing their video games more than anything else. It's like, you're not, but he's actually now starting to weight lift. He's actually doing a lot of yoga, which he can pull some moves off. I have no idea. He's double jointed too, so he's like pulling his shit all over, and I'm just like, nah. But he's teaching me yoga, and I'm like, damn. Like, I don't even know how. He just, like I said, twists himself up into a pretzel and is standing there on a toe, and I'm just like, fuck this. I can't do that, you know.
There you go. We're all made for something.
Yeah. And he's finally getting into it, but now he's up to 20. But it's like, and I keep telling him, I'm like, stop telling yourself you can't. Stop telling yourself you're tired. Stop telling yourself these are the things that you're defeating yourself before you even start. And I think that's something that the three of us just never really clicked with us. It's like, you don't stop.
Oh, you're wrong, bro.
Did you ever hit a point where you're just like, I can't go on? Because I mean,
yeah, you got to get to that point all the time.
Because for me, I mean,
I think it's cyclical. I think that I pressurized too much, and then I was like, I'm over it. I'm out. And then I pressurize again. I'm back in. I'm all in, and then I'm out.
Gotcha.
And it's been hard for me to strike the balance.
Yeah.
And now I'm striking the balance, and then I still am like challenged with like my perception of my role.
Right.
And like the whole like devil on your shoulder, angel on your shoulder. You know, they take turns. I had to just come to peace with duality.
Yeah.
It took me a while to come to peace with the fact that we're in a duality, and if you want progress, it hurts, and if you want it easy, you pay for it.
Yeah.
There's no free lunch. Like, it's never going to be all better.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Plus, the workout starts when it starts to burn. And
True
then how do you treat that? You treat it with oxygen. So you just got to go, you know?
Just got to keep rolling. Yeah, I mean, so for me, as a long-distance cyclist, I didn't have really anybody to coach. You know, I mean, I had coaches and all that, but I mean, as far as the long-distance stuff, I was alone. It was me and one other guy, and he was usually back a ways. And so I was always riding alone. And my biggest adversary was myself. When I was going up like the back end of Cedar Breaks, I was talking to myself the whole way. yelling at myself. There was points where I was literally screaming at myself going up. And, the peak, I think, is 10,500 feet. I was at about 9,000 feet when I was like burning out. And I was just like, what are you going to do? Stop? And like, it's harder to get started again. You can't stop. You got to just keep going. You can't stop. If you stop, it's harder to get started back up again. So it was like every pedal, I was like right, left. And I was like telling myself right, left, shut up, just keep going, And I had to be my own coach at that point, and I had to keep that mindset of you can't quit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how that works on the field when you're on a team, because once you get the ball, you're alone. You don't have anybody you're not alone because you got defenders, you got people blocking to make sure you don't get hit, but at the same time, you got to run, and you got guys like him running at you. And so when you're running, that's a question. When you're running, are you thinking about being hit, or are you just like, there's the end zone, and you just have your eye and you get tunnel vision once you start running and you feel it? Do you get tunnel vision? Do you get tunnel vision like when you're honed in on somebody? What happens with you?
I wasn't a terrific ball carrier. I think I did get a tunnel vision, and then the really talented ball carriers I saw that could see the obstacles and manipulate them, just tried to see what they were seeing. Because I was bracing for an impact, and if I could get a full head of steam, I could time up and deliver a good one, or it could get out of bounds, or tight ends started to hurdle people back then. I wasn't really about that, but yeah, there's some aspect of the fastest I've ever run is being chased. And the effort you give, you get a weird kind of exhausted after you carry the ball that you don't get just from a regular route.
Yeah.
Because it adds this element of keep away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How about you? You got tunnel vision, or what's like?
No, I can't really have tunnel vision because I was a safety or a DB. So I'm going up against guys like this, but I also, stick in the fastest guys on the field, which are the receivers. So, for me, it depends on just the play. So I'm either guarding 6'5", 210 receiver, or, guarding 6'5", 260 tight end. So for me, it's just mind game with myself. Okay, this a run. Oh, if I see Ryan backing up, I know he pass blocking. Or if I see his knuckles, you know what I'm saying, getting white. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you just got to know the game, and off film, like seeing what he likes to do. So I can't really get tunnel vision playing what I play.
You're listening to UM Radio.
Join Johnny C. and Mateo as we interview musicians, filmmakers, business owners, and community leaders supporting our local industries on UtahMusicRadio.com.